There's a quiet power in the way true leaders speak. They don't rush. They don't shout. And yet, when they open their mouths, people listen. It's not about volume or vocabulary. It's about presence. That subtle energy that commands a room before a single word is spoken. The kind of voice that says, "I know where we're going. Come with me." But here's the truth. Most people aren't born with that kind of presence. They build it, deliberately, habit by habit, word by word, over time. Because leadership isn't a title. It's a conversation. One that begins every time you speak. In this episode, we're going to uncover how to speak like a leader. The kind of communicator who doesn't just talk, but transforms. Someone whose words create trust, inspire movement, and earn respect. Naturally, without forcing it. We'll explore 5 powerful communication habits that separate real leaders from everyone else. Habits drawn from psychology, behavioral science, storytelling, and decades of observing the best, from CEOs and world leaders to coaches, teachers, and quiet mentors whose influence lasts a lifetime. And along the way, we'll break the myth that leadership communication is about charisma or charm, because it's not. It's about clarity, consistency, and connection. The ability to speak in a way that makes others feel seen, guided, and motivated, not manipulated. Think of the voices that shaped history: Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, Jacinda Ardern, Barack Obama, Steve Jobs. Different styles, different eras, but one shared trait. Every word carried intention, every silence carried weight. And that's what you're about to learn. How to make your communication command attention, not by demanding it, but by earning it, through presence, empathy, and discipline. Now, let's begin with the first foundation, the habit that lies beneath every powerful leader's voice. When most people speak, they think about what to say. Leaders think about what they want others to feel. That's the difference between talking to impress and speaking to influence. Too many people enter conversations as performers, trying to sound confident, to look impressive, to win the moment. But leadership communication doesn't start with you. It starts with why, the reason behind your words. When your intention is clear, your expression becomes powerful. And that intention isn't about showing authority. It's about serving clarity. Purpose anchors presence. Before any meeting, speech, or conversation, great leaders ask themselves a single question. What do I want this person to understand, believe, or do? Because of what I say. That question shifts your entire mindset. It moves you from ego to impact, from performance to purpose. It's the reason Simon Sinek's famous principle, "Start with why," resonated across the world. Because purpose is magnetic. It's what makes others feel that your message isn't just information, it's direction. Imagine 2 managers speaking to their teams after a failure. The first says, "We didn't meet our targets. We need to do better next quarter." The second says, "Yes, we missed the goal, but that means we learned what doesn't work. Now, let's take that lesson and use it to build something smarter, faster, stronger." Same situation, completely different energy. One pushes with pressure, the other pulls with purpose. And people follow purpose. They resist pressure. Speaking with purpose also means choosing what not to say. Great leaders understand that words are tools, not toys. Every unnecessary sentence dilutes your impact. Every empty phrase makes your message lighter. That's why they pause more than they speak. They let silence do its work. Because silence, when guided by purpose, speaks louder than noise. Purpose also builds trust. When your audience senses that you're speaking for them, not just for yourself, they lean in. They feel safe to listen. They feel respected. People don't follow the loudest voice. They follow the voice that sees them. And when your communication is driven by purpose, every word you choose says, "I see you. I understand you. I'm here to help us move forward together." That's leadership. Not the act of commanding attention, but the art of earning it through clarity and care. So before every important conversation, try this simple ritual. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what's my why here? Then speak from that center. Not from fear, not from ego, not from impulse, but from purpose. Because when your intention is clear, your words carry authority. Not the authority of power, but the authority of truth. Before a leader speaks with power, they must first listen with presence. Because speaking like a leader isn't about talking more, it's about hearing deeper. Every great communicator knows this truth. The quality of your communication is determined not by how well you speak, but by how deeply you listen. Listening is not waiting to talk. It's not that polite pause while you plan your next sentence. It's the art of fully entering another person's world without trying to control it. Most people think of listening as a passive act, something quiet, something soft. But real listening is active power. It disarms ego, it earns trust, and it reveals truth that no amount of talking could uncover. Think about the people who've made you feel truly understood. A teacher, a mentor, a friend. They didn't always have the answers, but they made space for you. That's leadership. Not the loudness of opinion, but the stillness of understanding. When Nelson Mandela was asked how he became such a respected negotiator, he said, "I learned that to make peace with an enemy, one must work with that enemy. Then he becomes your partner. But before partnership comes patience. And before patience comes listening." Mandela was known for sitting quietly in meetings, saying little at first. He watched. He absorbed. He let others speak. And when he finally did speak, his words carried the weight of every voice he had already heard. That's not coincidence. That's strategy. In leadership communication, listening is your intelligence system. It tells you where people are, emotionally, mentally, and energetically, before you decide where to take them. When you truly listen, you gain something that no authority title can buy: insight. You learn not just what people say, but what they mean. You detect the pauses, the tones, the subtle fears behind their words. You sense the difference between doubt and resistance, between fatigue and frustration. And once you understand that, you can respond with precision, not reaction. Listening builds empathy. Empathy doesn't mean you agree with everything. It means you understand enough to lead wisely. Great leaders don't react to emotions. They recognize them. They don't say, "Calm down." They say, "I hear that you're frustrated. Let's find out why." That simple shift in tone turns conflict into collaboration. It signals respect, the currency that buys long-term trust. Because when people feel heard, they stop defending themselves. They start participating. In business meetings, in family discussions, in politics, you can watch this dynamic unfold in real time. The loudest person rarely wins the room, but the one who listens first often ends up guiding the direction of everyone else's thoughts. That's the paradox of leadership communication. Control doesn't come from domination. It comes from understanding. Listening also changes your energy. When you stop talking and start observing, something profound happens. Your pace slows, your awareness sharpens, and your presence grows. The room begins to feel different, because people can sense when you're truly paying attention. They can feel when your silence is genuine curiosity, not hidden judgment. And that feeling, that invisible signal, creates psychological safety. Psychological safety is the foundation of all great teams, families, and communities. It's what allows people to speak honestly, take risks, and innovate. And it begins with a leader who listens. Here's a simple but powerful practice. In your next conversation, try to listen until the other person fully empties their thought. Don't interrupt. Don't rush to fix. Let silence breathe. Then, when they're done, pause for 2 seconds before you respond. Those 2 seconds are where leadership happens. Because in those quiet moments, you give people something rare, the experience of being heard, without being hurried. The best communicators listen beyond words. They listen to patterns. They notice what keeps coming up, not just in one meeting, but across weeks or months. They track emotion as much as information. When you listen like this, you start to hear the heartbeat of your organization, your family, your circle. You begin to understand what people need before they even say it. That's why the world's best leaders often seem almost prophetic. It's not magic. It's pattern recognition, powered by deep listening. And here's the most counterintuitive truth of all. The better you listen, the more powerful your words become. Because silence fills your speech with meaning. It turns your words into answers, not noise. When you finally do speak, people notice. They can feel the difference between words born from thought and words born from understanding. That's the moment when communication transcends language, when it becomes leadership. So if you want to command respect, start by giving it. Give people your full attention, your eyes, your patience, your stillness. Don't listen to reply. Listen to connect. Because when people feel truly heard, they begin to trust your voice. And trust, more than talent or technique, is the foundation of every leader who speaks with power. Leadership is not about how much you say. It's about how clearly you say it. Because clarity is power. And the moment your words become foggy, your leadership loses force. We live in a world addicted to complexity. People hide behind jargon, buzzwords, and over-explained ideas, mistaking confusion for intelligence. But the great leaders, they simplify. They cut through the noise like a beam of light, revealing not more information, but meaning. Think about it. When Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone, he didn't start with specs or data. He said, "Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone." 11 words. Yet the whole world understood. When Martin Luther King Jr. stood before thousands, he didn't say, "We must achieve equitable systemic socio-political reform." He said, "I have a dream." 4 words. Eternal clarity. Clarity sticks. Complexity slips. Why? Because clarity is not just a skill, it's a service. When you speak clearly, you're saying to your listener, "I respect your time. I value your attention. I want you to understand." That's leadership empathy. The ability to make your ideas easy for others to absorb. It's not about dumbing down. It's about lifting up understanding. Clarity begins before you speak. The most confusing communicators are often the most confused thinkers. They don't struggle with language. They struggle with direction. So before a great leader opens their mouth, they clarify their mind. They ask, "What's the single most important thing I want people to remember from this?" Not 10 points, not 3, just 1. Because when you can express one idea simply, you can lead others powerfully. Clarity requires discipline. It takes restraint to remove what sounds clever but adds no meaning. It takes humility to admit, if they don't understand me, that's my fault. Most people overcomplicate to protect their ego. Leaders simplify to serve their mission. They don't aim to sound smart. They aim to be understood. The late Admiral Hyman Rickover, known as the father of the nuclear navy, once said, "If you can't explain something to a 6-year-old, you don't really understand it yourself." That principle isn't about condescension, it's about mastery. When you can express complexity simply, it means you've wrestled with the idea enough to own it. That's why the world's greatest scientists, entrepreneurs, and teachers often speak plainly. Because simplicity isn't weakness. It's the language of mastery. Clarity shapes emotion. When your words are clear, your audience can feel safe. Because confusion creates anxiety. When people don't understand, they fill in the blanks with fear, doubt, or mistrust. Leaders remove that fog. They say, "Here's where we are, here's where we're going, here's why it matters." And suddenly, the room exhales. That's not just good communication, that's leadership psychology. Because clarity reduces fear. And when fear drops, focus rises. Clarity is also rhythm. Great speakers understand the music of speech. They use short sentences like stepping stones, each one leading the listener forward, each pause giving the mind space to breathe. Listen to the best communicators. They speak in rhythm, not in rush. Their words don't drown in clutter. They glide on cadence. Because people don't just hear language, they feel it. And clarity has its own sound. Steady, certain, confident, calm. Here's the truth. People rarely remember everything you say, but they always remember how your words made them feel. If your speech felt like fog, they'll remember the struggle. If it felt like light, they'll remember the message. So clarity is not a technical habit. It's an emotional one. It's the choice to honor your audience's attention, to deliver not more noise, but more meaning. Here's a simple clarity ritual. Before your next presentation or conversation, write your main point in one sentence. Then read it aloud. If it sounds confusing or too long, simplify. Ask yourself, would a 12-year-old understand this? If not, rework it until the answer is yes. That's not oversimplification. That's impact refinement. Because the most powerful ideas in the world are never buried under big words. They're carried by simple ones. Einstein once said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. But there's a second half to that truth. If you can explain it simply, you can move the world. Because clarity creates connection. And connection is the heart of leadership communication. So the next time you speak, cut the fluff, lose the jargon, and lead with clarity. Because respect isn't earned by speaking louder. It's earned by making people understand faster. When you speak with clarity, your words become a mirror of your mind. Calm, focused, and strong. And that kind of voice? That's a leader's voice. In a world addicted to noise, calm is the new power. You can hear it instantly. The difference between someone who's speaking to prove themselves and someone who's speaking from self-assurance. One voice trembles with tension, the other radiates stillness. And it's that stillness, not volume, not speed, not charisma, that commands real respect. Because true authority doesn't rush, it resonates. Calm confidence is contagious. When a leader speaks calmly under pressure, everyone else begins to steady their breath. The atmosphere changes. The chaos slows. That's not just emotional influence. It's biological. Humans subconsciously mirror the nervous systems of those they trust. If your tone says, I'm grounded, I'm here, and I'm in control, then others begin to feel safe around you. And safety is the soil where respect grows. Confidence isn't arrogance. Arrogance shouts to cover insecurity. Confidence speaks softly because it has nothing to hide. Leaders who speak with calm confidence are not performing for approval. They're anchored in their message. They don't rush to fill silence because they trust the strength of their words. They don't over-explain because they trust their audience's intelligence. And they don't panic when challenged because they trust their own preparation. That's what composure really is. Not the absence of emotion, but the mastery of it. Think about the world's most respected leaders, from Barack Obama to Malala Yousafzai to Satya Nadella. Each has a tone that feels deliberate, not defensive, measured, not mechanical, warm, not weak. They speak as if they have time, even when they don't. And that illusion of time creates real time, because people lean in, listen longer, and follow willingly. Calmness amplifies authority. When your heart rate is calm, your voice naturally deepens. Your tone stabilizes. Your words land with weight. That's why a leader who speaks slowly and steadily can silence a room faster than one who yells. Because power isn't in how loud you are. It's in how certain you sound. Certainty comes from stillness. Stillness comes from preparation. And preparation begins long before you speak. Here's what most people don't realize. Your voice is not just sound. It's physiology. When you're anxious, your breathing shortens, your throat tightens, your words stumble. But when you breathe deeply from your diaphragm, slowly and intentionally, you send a message to your body. We are safe. And your voice follows that message. That's why one of the simplest, most powerful tools for speaking like a leader is controlled breathing. 3 deep breaths before you begin, and your presence transforms. Composure is not passivity. Being calm doesn't mean being quiet or detached. It means being in control of your emotional volume. You can still be passionate, but it's a passion with direction, not chaos. Watch the great communicators. They rise and fall in rhythm. Their voice knows when to rest and when to rise. Their passion feels earned, not constant. Because constant intensity is exhausting, but controlled intensity is magnetic. Here's the paradox. The calmer you are, the more intensity you can actually carry. Calm doesn't drain passion. It frames it. It gives your energy shape, so that when you do raise your voice or emphasize a word, people feel it because it means something. Confidence also lives in body language. You don't need to dominate the space. You need to own your space. That means standing tall but relaxed, making deliberate movements, and holding eye contact just long enough to connect, not to intimidate. A confident leader doesn't fidget. They don't shrink into the background or explode into the spotlight. They occupy their presence fully, as if to say, I belong here, and so do you. Calm confidence also shapes perception. People rarely remember your exact words, but they always remember how they felt around you. If your energy is rushed, they'll feel pressured. If your energy is frantic, they'll feel uncertain. But if your energy is calm and assured, they'll feel safe and respect you for it. That's the essence of executive presence. It's not a look. It's not a voice. It's an energy. Quiet, clear, grounded. Try this simple exercise before any high-stakes conversation, a meeting, a negotiation, a presentation. Pause. Plant your feet on the ground. Take one slow inhale through your nose. Hold it for a moment. Then exhale fully. As you breathe out, remind yourself, I am prepared, I am present, I am in control. This simple grounding ritual resets your nervous system. It reminds your body that you are safe, and your mind follows. And when you speak from that place, your voice becomes a bridge, steady enough for others to walk across. In times of crisis, followers don't look for the loudest person in the room. They look for the calmest, because calm is confidence made visible. So don't chase energy, create it. Don't try to sound powerful, be centered. When your voice carries stillness, your presence carries strength. And that's when your communication evolves from leadership to legacy. There's a moment in every leader's life when they realize people don't remember what you said. They remember how you made them feel. And that's the essence of inspirational communication. It's not about impressing others with brilliance or authority. It's about awakening something within them, a sense of belief, purpose, or possibility. Because when you speak to impress, your focus is on yourself. But when you speak to inspire, your focus is on them. And people can feel that difference. Inspiration begins with authenticity. Authenticity is not a performance. It's not being real for the sake of relatability. It's the courage to show up without the mask. To speak from truth, not from script. People can sense when your words are rehearsed to manipulate emotion, but they can also sense when your message is alive, drawn from something you've lived, not just learned. That's why great leaders don't just deliver speeches, they deliver stories. And not perfect stories, honest ones. Stories about mistakes, doubt, resilience, humanity. Because those are the stories that say, I've been where you are. And if I made it through, so can you. That's the heartbeat of inspiration. Shared humanity. Inspiration comes from vision. Every movement, political, social, or personal, began with someone who painted a picture of what could be. When Martin Luther King Jr. said, "I have a dream," he wasn't giving a lecture. He was painting an emotional landscape, vivid, hopeful, impossible to ignore. When JFK said, "We choose to go to the moon," he didn't focus on the science. He focused on the spirit, the audacity of human ambition. And when Malala Yousafzai stood before the United Nations and said, "One child, one teacher, one book, one pen can change the world," she reminded millions that power doesn't come from privilege. It comes from voice. That's what leaders do. They speak to the future as if it's already unfolding in front of us. And in doing so, they make us believe it's possible. But inspiration isn't just about grand visions. It lives in the small, quiet moments too. A teacher telling a struggling student, "You're not failing, you're learning." A manager saying, "I trust you, take the lead." A parent whispering, "I'm proud of you," at just the right time. Those are the moments that plant seeds in the human spirit. Tiny words that grow into confidence, courage, and change. So if you want to inspire, remember, it's not about how big your message sounds. It's about how deeply it lands. Inspiration requires emotional intelligence. When you speak, don't just think about what you want people to know. Think about what they need to feel in order to move. Do they need hope? Do they need courage? Do they need reassurance? Words are the surface. Emotion is the current that carries them. The greatest leaders understand emotional sequencing, how to guide people from uncertainty to trust, from fear to focus, from fatigue to fire. That's not manipulation, that's leadership empathy. It's seeing the emotional truth of a moment and choosing words that elevate rather than exploit. To inspire, you must believe. You cannot light a fire in others if your own flame is dim. Before you can inspire anyone else, you must reconnect with your own why. What do you stand for? What do you fight for? What do you wake up for? When your message comes from conviction, not convenience, your words carry heat. Even if you speak softly, people feel it, because belief vibrates beneath every syllable. That's why the best speakers don't need perfect technique. They just need genuine purpose. The voice follows the heart. Storytelling is the leader's most powerful tool. Facts tell, stories move. Neuroscience shows that when we hear data, only the language centers of our brain activate. But when we hear a story, our sensory, emotional, and motor regions light up as if we're experiencing it ourselves. That's why stories don't just inform the mind, they transform the listener. So as a leader, don't just share numbers or strategies. Tell stories that embody your message. If your value is resilience, tell a story about how you stood back up after failure. If your value is teamwork, tell a story about a moment when collaboration changed everything. People may forget your bullet points, but they will never forget the story that made them feel something. To inspire, use language that uplifts. Great communicators choose words that rise above fear. Instead of saying, "We can't afford to fail," they say, "Here's what we can learn if we stumble." Instead of, "We have a problem," they say, "We have a challenge and an opportunity." This isn't sugarcoating reality. It's reframing it, giving people a perspective that empowers rather than paralyzes. Because leaders don't deny difficulty. They define it in a way that keeps people moving forward. Inspiration also means vulnerability. There's a quiet kind of strength in saying, "I don't know," or "I was wrong," or "I'm still figuring it out." Vulnerability doesn't weaken your authority. It humanizes it. And when people see your humanity, they trust your leadership. Because nobody wants to follow perfection. They want to follow realness. And when realness meets purpose, people don't just listen, they feel called. Here's something every leader should remember. You don't inspire by being the hero of the story. You inspire by helping others see the hero in themselves. That's what transforms a crowd into a movement, when your words awaken their potential. when they don't just believe in you, but in themselves. So ask yourself, when you speak, are you trying to impress or to ignite? Are you trying to sound smart or to make others feel strong? Because at the end of the day, people won't remember your eloquence. They'll remember the moment they felt something shift inside them because of your words. That's the power of speaking to inspire. It's not about being followed. It's about helping others find their own voice. And that is real leadership. In the end, speaking like a leader isn't about power. It's about presence. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the one people trust when the room falls silent. Because leadership isn't measured by how much you say, but by how deeply your words move others to think, to act, to grow. We've explored 5 powerful habits, 5 ways to speak that command respect, not through force, but through authentic influence. First, speak with purpose, not performance. Because real leaders don't talk to be admired. They talk to create meaning. They speak from intention. Every word anchored in why it matters. And that purpose makes their voice unshakable. Second, listen like a leader. Because leadership begins in silence, in the ability to hear beyond words, to understand what others feel but can't say. Listening isn't weakness, it's awareness. And awareness is what keeps your words wise. Third, speak with clarity, not complexity. Because simplicity isn't small, it's strength. When your message is clear, you cut through confusion. And when people understand you, they trust you. Fourth, speak with calm confidence. Because in every storm, people look for the one voice that doesn't tremble. Not because it's louder, but because it's centered. Calm is not quietness. Calm is control. And fifth, speak to inspire, not to impress. Because your job as a leader is not to shine, it's to light the way for others. To awaken courage, belief, and vision in those who've forgotten they have it. These habits are not techniques, they're choices. Choices that, repeated over time, shape your presence, your energy, and your impact. Because leadership communication isn't a gift, it's a discipline. You earn it each time you pause before speaking. Each time you choose empathy over ego. Each time you decide to serve meaning instead of attention. That's how respect is built, not demanded. So take a moment and imagine this. Every time you speak, whether it's to one person or 1,000, you're planting something invisible, a seed of trust, a seed of courage, a seed of clarity. Most of the time you won't see it grow, but one day someone will remember your words and act differently because of them. That's your real legacy. Not the speeches you gave, not the titles you held, but the hearts you helped steady, the minds you helped focus, the lives you helped rise. Leadership isn't a performance, it's a presence. And your voice is one of its most powerful instruments. When you speak with purpose, people listen. When you listen with empathy, people trust. When you clarify, people understand. When you stay calm, people believe. And when you inspire, people change. That's the full circle of communication that commands respect. Not because you demanded it, but because you embodied it. In the end, the secret to speaking like a leader is simple. Don't speak to fill the air. Speak to move it. Don't talk to sound important. Talk to make something important happen. Because the smartest communicators aren't those who speak the most. They're the ones who listen fast, think clear, and speak with purpose. And the most respected leaders? They don't chase attention. They earn it. One calm, clear, purposeful conversation at a time. This is the voice of leadership. Quiet, certain, human, and unforgettable.